Whoa, whoa, whoa now. Some of us got a little bit too much dip on our chip. Dallas Cowboys fans are celebrating, but here's why. Everyone needs to slow down just a wee bit. Let's get right into this and be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content on the regular. We're trying to get to that 30K. Y'all help your boy out, man. All right, so we see here Dan Graziano reported that the NFL today informed teams that the 2025 per team salary cap will fall in the range of $277.5 million to $281.5 million, way up from last year's $255.4 million. The cap will have increased by more than $53 million over the last 2 years. And essentially the reason that there's like a range for the cap is they're still trying to finalize some of the last numbers. Now, the reason I'm actually making this show real quick is because in the end of my live show, we kind of got wind of this news, and a lot of us were under the wrong impression, including myself. A lot of us were under the impression that this was going to be raising the salary cap roughly about $22 million. Now, it looks like that at first glance, and when you first think about that number, that $22 million number, the first thing you're going to think about is an Osa Odigizua, and the fact that Osa's contract is probably going to fall somewhere in that range between $18 to $21 million per season annually. Now, obviously, this would be something to celebrate over because this was going to give the Dallas Cowboys exactly the amount of money they needed to make sure they could keep Osa Odigizua, and he wouldn't be one of those cap casualties that we saw have to leave the Cowboy in waves last season, right? This is not the situation, actually, and I'm glad. Shout out to the homie Dak for MVP, aka Martin Talks Cowboys. He actually got me right here because I was also under that impression. I thought that we were going to have way more money than we thought we were going to have, and Osa Odigizua was going to be an easy signing to make. But to be quite frank, y'all, and the reason I'm making this show is because nothing has changed. Literally, nothing has changed. Just a wee bit maybe, but mostly nothing has changed because the fact of the matter is that $275 million cap number has already been figured into all the sites that everyone's been using to keep up with the salary cap space anyways. Spottrack.com and overthecap.com already projected that we would get that kind of upgrade to the salary cap, and that had already been figured into the system. So this whole time we all have been figuring numbers based off of having that $275 million in cap space. And what that means is all of these moves the Cowboys make is still going to lead us back to the same exact amount of money that we would have had beforehand. Roughly about $100 million is what the Cowboys can create by making these moves right here that you see pictured on the screen. Giving Dak Prescott a restructure is going to free up $37 million. CeeDee Lamb restructure, $20 million freed up. Terrence Steele restructure, $9 million freed up. Trevon Diggs restructure, $5.8 million freed up. Micah Parsons extension, $18.2 million freed up. And if they were to cut Donovan Wilson as a post-June 1st cut, you would free up about $7 million, and you'd be able to spread that $1.65 million dead cap hit over the course of the next 2 seasons. And as well as releasing a Damone Clarkson going to give you another $3 million. So you can get roughly about $10 million from making those 2 moves right there. And honestly, I think Donovan Wilson is probably like the most likely cut candidate as it pertains to the safety room. If anybody gets cut, I can absolutely see him being a Donovan Wilson. I mean, he's good when he's playing downhill as long as he's filling the proper gaps and playing the proper lanes. But for the most part, Donovan Wilson can be a liability back there, at least in my opinion, a little bit more of a liability than a Malik Hooker. Yes, he's better than Malik Hooker in run support. I will give him that. But to me, would you rather give up 10 or 15 yards in the run game, or would you rather give up 50 yards in the pass game? I'd rather give up that 10 or 15. So Donovan Wilson to me would be the more expendable safety. Now, with all these moves being made, that would give you about $100 million in cap space. And that puts us exactly where we were to start this off, right? Plus the extra $6 million or so that we could get if the cap goes up to that $282 million number, right? So we can get another $5 to $6 million. And realistically speaking, all $5 to $6 million extra in cap space, which is what the Cowboys will be working with, all that's good enough to give you is another tier 3 or tier 4 type of free agent. That's good enough to give you a couple of guys that, you know, probably wasn't going to make anybody's team, probably won't really see the field in any meaningful situation unless it's like an injury type of situation. But it'll give you enough cap space to sign 2 of those type of guys. That's not going to be anything that can actually make a seismic difference for the organization as a whole. And I see a lot of people already gassing it up, man, including your boy, Micah Parsons. My man Micah Parsons had this to say LFG, let's effing go, over the fact that we're gonna have about $5 to $6 million more in cap space. And this right here, and a lot of people reacted to this post, and a lot of people got excited for Micah Parsons, that he got excited. And this right here is one of those reasons why you have to properly inform yourself before you just go out and start talking about things, especially if you have a platform with influence. Because a lot of people now are excited thinking that the Cowboys got an extra $20, $30 million in cap space. I know he didn't imply any of this, but him just being excited and speaking on it would make guys feel like, oh, we got a lot more cap space. The Cowboys can really be open for business now. And that is actually not the situation. The Cowboys only got an extra $5 or $6 million in cap space. So LFG, I guess, another role player, another depth piece, but it's not going to do much as it pertains to the Cowboys needing to retain their best players, right? The Joneses are still going to have to get up off their asses and make some stuff shake if they want to keep guys like Osa Odigizua and also add to this team, all right? So I think that's where all Cowboys fans are right now. We just want to see more additions take place to this roster, more additions than subtractions. That's for damn sure this offseason, because last offseason was definitely way more subtraction than it was addition. We need to see those roles reversed this offseason so that way we can actually have a little bit of hope going into the season, because what we ain't going to do is we ain't going to sit here and try to shine up a turd and call it a gold nugget this time like we did last offseason. We also got to be very careful, because I see some very influential people within the Cowboys community already doing the same thing they did last offseason, creating a story out of nothing. The whole all-in thing, I keep telling y'all about that. Clarence Hill, he twisted that statement and made it into something that everyone else thought was something else. Jerry was always talking about just paying Dak and CeeDee in the offseason. That's what he meant by all-in, and he clarified that when he said it. Clarence Hill posted it as something else. Now we can see again Clarence Hill and other media members characterizing these salary cap changes as something that fans should be excited about and something fans should use as a reason as to why the Cowboys should be able to be super active. And that is just not true. It's very important that we are responsible with our influence and we're not leading our audiences astray. There's no reason to be saying, let's effing go. There's no reason to say, oh, they can't have any excuse now. Nothing changed outside of maybe an extra role player, y'all. That's it. Either way, appreciate you guys tuning in. I just wanted to make sure I put this out there so everyone's not running around parroting the wrong information, because absolutely this can make people kind of confused, as well as myself. I was confused as well when I initially saw this, but then I looked into it a little bit more and was like, not as excited anymore. But either way, till next time, how about them Cowboys? I'll see you guys on the next one.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still the ball? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Oh, shut up, my boy. Hey! I'm still them boys.